My friend Guy Michelmore had something very interesting to say about amateur composers, and I thought we might discuss it and see if we can learn something from it. Now, he made this comment in a short, so it's less than a minute long. I shall link to it in the description, and it's actually an extract from a much longer interview video which he did. And the interviewer asked him, if a project comes in with a very tight deadline and you have a creative block, what do you do? Interesting question. Now, I've seen all of Guy's 3,278 videos, so I knew what he was going to say. I think I know him pretty well. Oh dear, fanboy alert. Now, I have to say, we're actually not really friends. He's probably going to sue me for defamation of character. But I think if we met up in a pub over a pint or three, I think we would enjoy each other's company. Well, at least I would enjoy his. But I like his presentation and I like his videos. Check him out if you don't already subscribe. Anyway, he's an award-winning media and film composer. So what do you think he said? You can probably guess. He said, you write the music, you just do the work. And he said, that's the difference between an amateur and a professional composer. Now, he wasn't using the term amateur in any derogatory sense, as some people use it, in the sense that it's implying someone doesn't have the experience or the skill of a professional person. He was using it in the more usual and I think original sense of someone who does something for the love of it and not for monetary reward. And of course, this gives amateurs a couple of benefits that the professional composer does not have. If you don't have a producer or director breathing down your neck, then you have no time constraints. There is no deadline. Likewise, if you are just not inspired, you can say, well, I'll try again tomorrow or the day after or next week. I guess that's another time constraint as well. Now, if you're a professional composer and you absolutely have to write music to meet the deadline, as Guy said, you just have to do the work. And he referenced a quote from Brian Eno, which went along the lines of, when inspiration fails, there is always technique. Something like that. And as Guy said in the video, if you've been composing for a few years, you will have acquired some craft and some technique which you will be able to use to produce, create, compose music. Now, I think it's very easy to fall into the trap of thinking, well, I don't have to do this, so I'm not going to do it. Music is supposed to be fun. Playing music, composing music, I think is one of the most rewarding aspects of making music, certainly for me. But if there's no deadline, then it is easy to push it back and say, well, I'm going to wait till I feel more inspired. And if we've never had to work to a deadline, that may seem perfectly natural. If you have ever sat down and absolutely tried to force your way through a piece of music to get it finished, you will know that it is work, and it can be very, very hard work. So if you don't have to do it, why would you do it? Well, you would do it so you actually finish a piece. And I think this is one of the advantages, but also disadvantages that amateur composers have. Now, I will show you mine if you show me yours, or at least I will tell you mine if you tell me yours. I don't often suffer from creative block in the sense that I sit down at a blank door and just can't think of anything to do. I am usually inspired either by some sort of musical idea floating around, or more typically by finding nice, interesting sounds in the silly number of presets I have on the computer and using those as a jumping off block. Now, pushing through and actually finishing a piece of music is quite different to starting it. And I hesitate to say this, but I have almost 100 pieces, 100 ideas, 100 little tune starters on my hard disk, pieces that I have started and not completed, not finished, not pushed through to completion. I should be ashamed, shouldn't I? How many do you have? Now, these are just what I have accumulated over the last few years. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know I've got an eye problem. I can't actually read anything and I can't read music scores. But in the past, if I wrote a piece of music, I used to write it down in notation format so I could refer to it again if I wanted to. And I have half a dozen at least notebooks full of little scribbles, little ideas. And that's what they are mainly, just little ideas, riffs, motifs, things like that, not necessarily massive pieces. There are a lot of musical ideas between my notebook and my computer, which are just there not doing anything. But it points to my unwillingness to do the hard work and finish the piece. Now, in sort of semi-self-defense, I have to say that periodically I do go through the list of pieces on my computer and find one or two, and I do work through them and push through them. And a few of the pieces I have put up on this channel over the last several months have been completed in that way. I get an initial idea, I leave it, and then say, this is a good idea, I really need to finish it. So I get stuck into it and generally finish it. Now, I don't know about you, but I think starting a composition is a lot easier than finishing it. And I know quite typically you will get a good riff, a good motif, 8 bars, 16 bars, even 32 bars, and then sort of grind to a halt. And this is where technique and craft come in. If you want to finish it, you have to push through and do the work and write the music. It's not always easy because, as Guy said, it is work, and hard work at that. So what do you think? What's your thoughts on that? How many unfinished pieces of music have you got languishing on your hard drive? I've told you mine, tell me yours. And do you ever go back to them to try to finish the piece? Or are they just flotsam and jetsam floating on the sea of lost, potentially great musical ideas? Was that a bit much? Yeah, probably. Okay, so, but you get the idea. Do you stop when inspiration disappears? Do you fall at the first hurdle? I do many times. So I guess this has sort of been a bit of a pep talk. I don't know how peppy it was or if it has resonated with you at all. I hope you took some bit of inspiration from it and perhaps are determined to finish some pieces which perhaps you would not otherwise have completed. That's the goal. So I'm going to have a look at some of these silly number of unfinished pieces on my music machine and see if I can finish a few more. Why don't you do the same? And as always, I really do appreciate you spending time with me watching my videos. For that, thank you very much indeed. If you don't already subscribe, maybe you would like to. That would be greatly appreciated, and just clicking the big thumb would be a massive help as well. And if you're not quite ready to start composing again, I think you might enjoy one or even two of these videos. See you in the next one very soon. Thanks again.